Hi. Okay, so we're going to work on, we have our pattern. We're going to work on the sides of the box. Actually, let's back up and let's go back to page 3 of 3, and let's do the drawers. Those use the 12 by 12 size, and you can kind of see the difference in that. I'll get the 8.5 by 11, and you can see the 8.5 by 11 is smaller. So put those 8.5 by 11s aside and get your 12 by 12s out. We're going to work on the drawers, and we have to make 2 of these. One for the top and one for the bottom. So let's go ahead and get started. Get your cutting board out. And I'm going to open mine up and lock it. I like this new little board. It's actually, it takes a little bit of getting used to because it's different than the one we used in class, but it's really a nice little board. Okay, so when we look at the drawer, and you can cut both pieces at one time if you like. I'm just going to do one because I'm going to show you how to do one, but you're welcome to cut both, and you have to score each one separately, but you can cut them together. Okay, so when we look at this, we need a size 9 by 9 piece, and so that's why we're using the 12 by 12. So if I put this on 9 here, okay, and I'm going to cut. And you know me, I save all these. I have a little drawer down here beside my workstation. I save all of my scraps because eventually I can use them for envelopes or pockets. Okay, so then I turned it. See, okay, I cut this first. So then I turn it 1/4 of a turn, and I'm going to line it up on the 9 again. And I'm going to save this. And so there we have it, a 9 by 9 sheet. And if you cut both of them, you'll have both of them. Okay, I'm going to flip my little hinge, and you know my OCD kicks in right there. I don't want it to break, so I put it up. Plus, I'm going to score, so this shelf makes a really nice place to just make sure everything's even. So when we look at our pattern, what we have across the top are the numbers that we're going to score. And so doing the drawers are almost exactly like doing the lid. They're just different numbers. So we're going to do a 1.5. So let's do our 1.5. 1.5. And then our next one is 3 inches. So I find my 3. And then our third one is 6 inches. And the last one is 7.5. Okay, so then we're going to go ahead and turn it 1/4 of a turn, push it up against our hinge, and they are basically the same. These are the ones, the side ones are the ones that we're going to use now, and they're basically the same as this because we're making a square. So the first one's going to be 1.5. And the second one is 3 inches. And then the next one, the third one, is going to be 6 inches. And the last one is going to be 7.5 inches. Okay, looks good. I'm going to set that aside for now, and I'm going to put my board away. I think well, yeah. I'm going to keep my knife out because I have to burnish things down, make the folds a lot nicer. That's a picture of my husband and I. Sorry. I can take that out so it doesn't bother you guys, get in your way. Okay, so what I usually do first is I go ahead and I fold all my folds, and then I burnish them down so that they're nice and tight. And I'll do each one. So if you notice, I don't hold my burnishing tool perpendicular up and down. I kind of lay it on its side. That way you have less chance of cutting your paper. If you hold it perpendicular, you're putting quite a lot of pressure just in one little point, and so you have more chance to rip your paper. But if you lay it sideways like this and just rub it, then you have a better chance of not causing problems with your paper. And you'll see me do that a lot. And see, I flipped sides. Just little tips and tricks. Make life so much easier. Okay, I'm going to burnish down my last side. Okay, and you can see it looks pretty cool. So the next thing we're going to do is just like we did the lid. We are going to take the first cut and then the first cut. It's the 1.5 inch cut. Let me get my scissors. And basically what we're doing with this is we're going to cut to the second line. You can see there's my first line, there's my second line. Okay? And then I will cut that tail completely off. Okay? And you can go ahead and do that on all 4 sides if you wish. Makes it just a little bit easier to see what we're doing. And then I'm going to take that off. And then I flipped it, and I will do these sides. And again, this one. So you're just cutting out those 2 little squares on each end. Okay, so then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take this little square, and you can kind of see what we've done is we have taken this entire section off, all 4 corners. So now, since we have this gone, we're going to take just this little one. We're going to leave the middle one, and we're going to cut here and cut here. So what we've done, you can see, we have taken out these 2 squares first and then this square on top. Okay. And I'm going to do that on every corner. Since this isn't a live event, you guys know to take your mouse and just stop the video and until you catch up with me. That's just one of the easiest ways of doing YouTube. I really like that. Okay, so you should have something that looks like this. And you can see all of your folds. So the next thing we're going to do, I'm going to throw those in my trash basket. The next thing we're going to do is we are going to cut just one edge of this square, because again, like we did the last time, this will get folded up and glued to the inside here. So we want it to be open. And I'm going to do it on the opposite end of this one. And then I'll do it on this one. And you can see, and then I will turn it around and do it on this one. Okay, so you can see I have my little tabs cut. Okay, so the next thing that I want to remind you to do is, just like with our lid, we are going to take off just a very little bit, and you can kind of see I've just taken off a very small sliver. And let's do our tabs first so that we can remember we've done them all. There's one tab. And if you have to, fold your things away so you don't cut them accidentally. There's my second tab. Let's go to this side. Oops, I didn't want to come off. And we'll do our third tab. And we will do our fourth tab. So with your tabs done, this is my junk box. So with all of your tabs cut, you should have just little slivers in between your pieces, like that. So then the next thing I want to do is, I'm going to do these ends that are connected to the tabs. And it doesn't matter how you do them, this is just how I keep it straight, what I have finished. Okay. I'll turn it around, and this is connected to the tabs. You can see they don't always line up, so I just give it a little yank if it's just a little piece. Okay, so these tabs are done. The next thing I want to do are these longer pieces. So I'm going to fold in the tail, and I'm going to cut and then I'll turn it around and I'll do the other side. So for some of you, if you're worried about cutting these, you can always bring them to the front so you can watch them a little better. It's a personal choice. It's up to you how you want to do that. So you can see I've slivered all of my edges. All of my edges are slivered. Now, the next thing I want to do, because when I did my lid, one of my lid tops was a little too big. So I'm going to go ahead and push this down to make sure that it fits in this area. If it doesn't, if it's a little too, you're welcome to just take a bit of it off. You don't have to take much off, just a little sliver again. We like our slivers, don't we? So I did this side. I'm going to do this side. And that one's pretty good. Okay, let me try this one. Yeah, this one's good. Ah, this one's a little big. You can see, you can almost see if it's too big without even folding it. And so I'm going to go ahead and cut just a sliver off this side. Okay. Yeah, that's better. And the way I can tell is when I fold the top down, if I can see my score line, then I'm good. If I can't see my score line, I should probably go ahead and cut a little bit off just so it doesn't bind when it's closing. Okay, so you have this. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to glue. Let me grab my glue. Okay, a tip I've shown Jean is when you take your pin out of your glue, because I was losing it. It was just everywhere, and I was looking and asking for help. My poor husband had to help me find my pin so many times. So I'm going to go ahead and take my pin, and in my shirt I'll push it once and then back, and I don't know if you can see that. I just have it stuck to my shirt, and then I don't lose it. Okay, so you can see how I have this folded. I'm going to flip it over so that all of my folds come up like this. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to glue 2 of these. So I'm going to put some glue on this. And actually, I'm just going to do one at a time because these are a little bit bigger. Okay, and then I lay it down. I don't know if you can see. I lay it down and I go ahead and I run my little knife over it just to get the glue to stick really tight. Okay, looks good. Then I'll push this one down and I'll do the same. I'm going to put the glue on it. And I will take it and lay it in there. And I try to keep my corners pretty square. And I'll take my knife. See, I'm holding it with one thumb so that it doesn't slip. Otherwise, sometimes you get it to slip and then it's not square. So, there, we have one side done. Looking good, looking good. Now, you can go ahead and glue this down, but I'm going to wait until I get my other sides finished. So, I will go ahead and put my glue on. And I'm going to try and make sure that it's very square. Okay. And then I will take my knife. I'm going to hold that down so it doesn't slip till I get some of it burnished. And there we go. And then I will put my glue on this side. I hope this is working, that you guys can see it, because it's a little bit tricksy for me.